when it's seated properly. Hair in my mouth, gross. And then we will warm the fluids up, and I gave it a good yank, especially in a fun little car like this. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Zach Does It. I'm Zach, and in today's episode, we're going to do our best to wrap up all of the mechanical work that we need to do before we head back to Philly. Now, we're not ready just yet because I still have one really big problem to address, and that is my broken speedometer. It's just not reading anything, which also means I can't track any miles. So I'm getting free miles at this point, I guess, so there's that. But I really need to know how fast I'm going because otherwise it's very easy to get a ticket, it's very easy to go too fast, especially in a fun little car like this. So I need to remove the instrument cluster. I need to make sure that that speedometer cable is seated properly in the speedometer. The speedometer. I need to make sure that the speedometer cable is plugged into the back of the speedometer and it's all seated properly so that everything spins and works the way it's supposed to. So I'm gonna take care of that real quick. We'll take her out for a drive to make sure that the fix has worked, and then we will warm the fluids up so that we can do the oil change, do the diff fluid, the trans fluid, and hopefully get back on our way down to Philly. So let's dive in. Hair in my mouth, gross. Salt Bay. For those who are unaware, the Miata, at least the first gen, has a mechanical system for the speedometer, for all the instrument clusters. So this little piece is what plugs into the back of the instrument cluster for the speedometer. It plugs right into this, and I need to make sure that that connection is seated properly. I believe what happened was when I put the instrument cluster in and pressed everything together, the cable just didn't reach far enough into this hole in order to connect to the gauge itself. So we're gonna make sure that we pull it out a little bit. We try to reinforce it as we're pulling out to make sure that it doesn't go back in, and hopefully we'll be able to get a good seat. We'll know exactly how fast we're going, and we'll be able to track our miles again. So let's do that. So it looks like it clips. What is that? Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is cool, and it confirms my suspicions. There's a tiny little clip on here that when it's seated properly, there's a tiny little clip in here that when it's seated properly should snap things into place and hold the cable to the cluster itself. So I may have actually only needed to go in under the dash and manually push it out, but anyways, now I understand what's going on underneath the instrument cluster. So now I can make sure that I seat it properly and get the good connection, the solid connection that I need. You might have noticed me putting some glue on two of these clips once I removed the shroud. Two of them actually keep getting stuck in the dash, and it doesn't actually hold the shroud in place, especially with that foam that we added. So I super glued two of them in. Hopefully they will hold this time and the clips won't come out of the shroud. So we're gonna try it out. With any luck, it'll stick. So let's give that a try. Well, in the name of getting good shots, I keep dropping my camera. It's gonna break at some point, so I need to be more careful. We are now ready to try to connect that speedo cable. Wish me luck. All right. To the limbo! Well, I heard and I felt a tiny, tiny click while I was under there. And I gave it a good yank to try to pull it out to see if it actually stuck. So, with any luck, it did. So let's go for that drive. Let's warm our fluids up, and when we get back, we'll be able to jack the car up real quick, get all those fluids out, flush them, put new fluid in, and get on our way back to Philly. Not so fast past Zach. This episode, episode 24 to be exact, marks a couple big milestones. Number one, as you just witnessed, Mama Miata's interior is literally back together and ready for the road. But not only that, this has literally been the 6-month mark since I started filming and working on this YouTube channel. So before we get started on a brand new journey where we start to look at the mechanicals of Mama Miata, I want to take a moment to really appreciate just how far of a journey we've gone through so far. And I know a lot of you have been wanting to see Mama Miata back on the road, so for the rest of this video, just kick back, relax, and let's see just how big of a change this little Miata has undergone. So where does that leave us? Well, for starters, we're not quite done with the interior. You may have spotted a few additional changes that I've made that I haven't quite documented yet on this channel. But don't worry, we'll get there. I've videotaped everything I've done so far, and all of that will come in future episodes. But after 6 months, I do think it's time for a little bit of a change of pace for us to finally look at some of the drivetrain and mechanicals that we've been putting off for 6 months now, really. So with that being said, past Zach is going to be diving into the fluid checks, namely the engine, trans, and diff oils in next week's episode. And after that, who knows? We'll be looking at any number of other mechanical checks based on what we find in those future episodes. So if that sounds exciting to you and you'd like to join me on this journey, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will be sure to see you on the next one.